Welcome to Connect, a program where we explore our connections with our community. Each time, we focus on a specific topic. Today, we're hoping that this conversation, a very important conversation about the elections, will help you with some information, but also bring you closer to your community and our wonderful people in our voter registration, elections, support, assistance department that does basically everything to help you get your vote out. So we have here Gail Pellerin.
Hello.
And Helen Ruiz.
Hi.
Both from the Santa Cruz County Clerk/Elections Department.
That's correct.
And Gail, why don't we start with you telling us a little bit how you came to where you are right now?
Sure. Well, I moved to Santa Cruz County in 1993, and I got a job as the elections manager, working under the county clerk recorder. And then when he retired, Richard Bedell, I took the position as county clerk, and that was in 2004. And I've been doing the work ever since. It's something I feel very passionately about, and I think that it's very important for people to exercise their right to vote. The voting booth is the great equalizer. When you're in that voting booth, everyone's vote counts equally. And it's a great way to make sure that you're using that office of citizen to the utmost potential, because really having everybody participate in our voting process ensures that we have good results. And we have people who are working in Sacramento, working locally, and working in Congress and the federal government, and passing local laws and state laws as well.
Yes, fantastic.
Yeah.
Helen, what was your path?
Well, I came from the nonprofit management field into the elections department, and I think one of the skills that came with me through all of that work in my life's journey is outreach and working directly in the communities, and really being, I think, passionate about making sure that things are easily accessible information, and is a great resource for us, an educator. So I brought that skill with me into working in the elections department, and it really, it was a long journey getting here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the department for almost about 5 years now, so I'm fairly one of the newbies in our department, and I'm not going anywhere now that I'm here. Gail is a great leader for our team. I feel quite honored, and I am doing the work that I love to do, being able to do the outreach, as well as doing voter education and helping people to recognize that it's a priority that they should have in their lives to be involved in this process, working with us. So I feel very, very fortunate.
Now you talked outreach, and I think we have a nice picture of you going out to the high school.
Right, we do high school pre-registration is now available.
And I think we have a picture of that, so let's show that picture at the same time. Go ahead.
And we go out and we are able to register 16 and 17-year-olds and have them all ready to go when they turn 18 on their 18th birthday. So we do that quite frequently. We go out to the high schools regularly, at least twice a year, to offer that to our high school students. We also go out to our UCSC campus, our Cabrillo campus, and work quite closely with our schools in the academia in Santa Cruz County, countywide. That's quite something that I place as a priority in my work, is making sure that we include everybody throughout this process. We also do assisted living, to go out into assisted living.
You actually go out and assist people?
We also go out and do, we have a voter assistance program that's available.
And we have a picture of that too, I believe.
Yes,
it's a really nice picture. Go ahead.
Yes. So we go to our assisted living facilities throughout the county. We also do our independent living facilities. So places that are housing people that are 55 plus communities that might have challenges coming out of their home. We make sure that we're able to go into that and make it accessible for them, as accessible as possible for them. We also go into our hospitals here in Santa Cruz County on election day for people that might have had to visit the hospital unexpectedly, and so that they don't miss out on participating on election day. So that's also one of our activities that are available through our voter assistance program. We also offer rides on election day to people that might need a ride. We also do home visits through that voter assistance. So somebody who might have a challenge coming out of their home and are not able to go into getting a ride into the polling place on election day. And we also offer ballot delivery for those people that are having challenges with that. So that all happens as a part of our voter assistance program. And you can request that type of an assistance by just calling our office.
And that phone number is 454-2060.
That's
Okay, good.
correct. And then we also do community events throughout the year, going in and offering voter information about the elections that are up and coming and the services that we offer on the broader sense. A lot of people are not familiar that we have our voter assistance program, so it's great for us to be able to get out and do these community events so that we can provide the information into the community directly. And then we also, part of my role is establishing collaborations and partnerships with businesses and community members. We're always recruiting for volunteers, so that's also part of what I do within our outreach program.
Fantastic. So your motto is just vote. And I
Just
think we have
vote.
a nice picture in the
Just
sand
vote.
of just vote.
Right.
I love that picture. So
Right here in
see that?
Santa
Here we
Cruz,
go. There it is.
Beautiful.
So why don't we go to making a plan to vote?
Sure. Well, it's important to decide what method you're going to use to vote. You can vote early, and because we start voting 29 days before the election, and you can vote in our office or the Watsonville City Clerk's office. And the other opportunity is to vote by mail. We have a growing number of voters who are permanent vote by mail voters. So we have about 86,000 and growing permanent vote by mail voters who automatically get their ballot mailed to them for every election in which they're eligible to vote.
Okay, why don't we show this? You have this nice post that says make a plan to
Make
vote.
a plan to vote, yeah.
That kind of summarizes what you're talking about right now.
So either voting early or voting by mail, or the other opportunity is, of course, voting at the polls.
Yeah.
So Santa Cruz County has polling sites on Election Day open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they're in your neighborhood, and voters are encouraged, if they haven't voted early or voted by mail, to get out and vote on Election Day. And it's a great experience to be there. We've got our federally qualified and state certified voting equipment. That we have a paper ballot system with the scanner that will scan the ballot at the polling site, and then we have a touchscreen unit for voters with disabilities to vote independently and privately. So if a voter is visually impaired, the touchscreen has an audio ballot, or it has large font, and it also has a Spanish ballot on the touchscreen as well. So
Wow.
it provides a lot more accessibility for our voters to make sure that they can vote independently and privately.
Right. So I'm not sure we already showed some of those pictures.
Yeah.
I think you sent them to me, Helen. They're
Yeah.
really nice, of the people going to the mailbox and vote by mail,
Yeah.
or actually dropping off
Right.
at
ballot.
a
So with the vote by mail, Santa Cruz County is one of the few counties that actually pay the postage on the vote by mail ballot. So you don't have to hunt for a stamp
Oh, really?
to return that vote by mail ballot. We also have ballot drop boxes located throughout the county where you
Right.
can drive up and drop that ballot off 24/7. And what's nice about that is that we empty those daily. And whereas mail in Santa Cruz County gets shipped, trucked over to San
San
Jose,
Jose.
sorted, and then
Right.
brought back. So there's a number of days that go by before we actually get it. But with the drop boxes, we're picking those up daily. And those are available. We have one in front of the county building, and I think that's what your photos are. We have one up at UCSC at Quarry Plaza. We have one at the Santa Cruz Library, Scotts Valley City Hall, Capitola City Hall. We have one over at Watsonville, over on Rodriguez Street, over by the Civic Center. And we have one at Cabrillo College, parking lot R, which is over by the stadium, and we have one over at the Felton Covered Bridge. So every election, we'll be putting these drop boxes out, and as we get funds and more need to have more drop boxes, we'll include more out in the county.
Wow, that is absolutely
Lots of opportunities to
amazing.
return, yeah. And of course, you could drop off that vote by mail ballot to any polling site on election day,
Yes.
or any of our city clerk's offices as well, or a drop center for your ballot.
That is absolutely fantastic. So there is no reason not to vote.
No excuse not to.
Now, when you talked earlier also about the voter registration, you already talked about the 15, 16-year-olds to get ready,
Right.
for when they're voting. Now, what happens if I forgot to register to vote?
Yeah, so California has a new law, and we allow voters who have missed the deadline they're able to register and vote up to and including election day, but they have to do it at one of the designated locations or the county elections office. So if you miss the deadline, and I know sometimes people get busy, and that deadline to register is 15 days before the election, but during those 14 days before the election, you can go to one of these designated locations and register and vote. It's just a quick visit that you would do. It's you do it all in one time. You'll register, you'll vote, and then you'll put your ballot in an envelope, and you're done.
Wow, that's
We're trying to make it very simple.
absolutely. Now, people are going to say, okay, these ballots are all over the place. What about security?
Yeah.
And
So
what about security of our voting machines? I mean, that's the big question.
there's a lot of talk about that right
Yes.
now, and rest assured, our voting system is very secure. It's not tied to the internet at all, so it's a standalone system. And again, we have a paper-based system, so we have our paper ballots, and we have a voter-verified paper audit trail on the touchscreen. So that is what we do all of our audits from, is that paper record. So the voter is the one that's seeing that and marking it and verifying the choices they're making on the screen. So that makes it extremely secure. And we also have very strict chain of custody laws as far as and procedures in place. So when the inspector has the voting equipment and picking it up and they bring it in the next day, 2 clerks other than the inspector will check to make sure all the security seals are intact and that everything's accounted for. We have great auditing procedures on the front end of the election. We have a logic and accuracy board that's independent from us that's out there reviewing all of our testing of the equipment. And then on the back end, we also have audits that occur. So we do manual tallies of the polling sites, and we do an audit of all the seals and to make sure that everything's accounted for. So we encourage anyone who has any doubt to please come observe us and come watch what we're doing, or join us, be part of our team and help us work.
It's interesting. You're sitting there. Yep, we do
Yeah.
all that.
Yes.
Yep. Are you maybe some kind of model for other parts in the country? Or do you go out and share what we do here with them?
We do. We actually did a lot on the area of accessibility. So Santa Cruz County had a situation where we were investigated for accessibility years ago, and we greatly increased our program and learned a lot about ADA and Title 24. And as a result, we are really a model in the state for ensuring that voters have access. So every voter coming to a polling site will be offered to vote paper or touchscreen. We make no preconceived notion over which method you would want to vote. So as a result, we have a lot of people who do use the touchscreen, where other counties with similar systems and maybe more voters have very few people voting on the touchscreen unit. So, it's really, we're definitely interested in the voter experience and how we can improve that voter experience. And I think California is doing that as well. So the laws in California continue to change to enfranchise more voters, to allow more people to be part of the process. We have now, through DMV, we have automatic voter registration. So that's a new thing. I think Helen could talk more about that.
Yeah.
And the statewide voter database that we now have is also helping us make sure our voter files are accurate and that we're catching people who have moved from one county to another county. And so we're just getting more and more tools to improve the system and improve the integrity of the system and improve the voter experience.
So the old saying, California saying, like, vote and vote frequently.
Vote early and often?
Vote early and often. That doesn't work in Santa Cruz County.
No. You can only vote once.
Did you want to share a little bit about what we were just talking about?
So our automatic voter registration at the Department of Motor Vehicles has rolled out, and if you're visiting the DMV to renew your driver's license or to get a California a California identification card, then you're eligible to register to vote. Then you're automatically registered to vote, and now you have to opt out of being registered to vote instead of opting in. So we're getting all of those records in, and I think that it's helpful for people to that would otherwise kind of not have it on their radar to register to vote. For the most part, I think that people are excited about that automatic voter registration. Also includes our 16, 17-year-olds because they are eligible to register to vote. So those that are going for their first time driver's license are included in that program. And I think it's great for us to be able to have that system in place where if you're moving from one place residence to another and you're making that address change at the Department of Motor Vehicles, that we automatically get that information sent to us. A lot of people used to think that they were registering themselves to vote when they did that visit, and then find out later that actually it didn't happen. So now that we have the automatic voter registration in place, I think that they appreciate that is being taken care of for them automatically. Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, I noticed that recently I renewed my driver's license, and I thought, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's just so automatic. I mean,
Right.
people will not forget them, because once you're registered to vote and you don't move,
Right.
then, of course, not everybody's going to update their driver's license every
Right.
time that they move.
Right.
But so that's when you really have to start thinking,
Right.
oh yeah, I was registered, but I'm still registered at my old address that
Right.
says on my driver's
Right.
license.
And that's where the same-day registration can come in, because
Yeah.
if you didn't get to re-register, you can still vote
You can still
afterward.
vote.
Right.
Right.
That's great. So we have people registered. We give them all the options to go out, either drop it off, do it by mail, put it in the mail slots, those voting boxes. Now we need to make sure that they are aware what is being voted on.
The
So here we
education
go.
piece, yeah.
Right.
So every election, voters will get a state voter information guide. And in this guide, it contains information on the state propositions, the statewide candidate statements, voter bill of rights, and other information about how to vote by mail, and other important information about deadlines regarding the election. And the law in California changed where the state propositions, you'll see a ballot summary, you'll see arguments for and against, but you won't see the text of the proposed laws in this book anymore. They now put it in a separate book, and this book is available online only or by calling your elections office, and we can mail it to you. So that's what the state puts out. And then the county will produce a sample ballot and voter information guide. So this is the local guide that you'll get. And you see they're very different. You've got the
Right.
state guide on newsprint, the county guide's always on this white paper. And inside this, you'll find all the information on the local measures, local voting opportunities, how to vote on touchscreen, how to vote on paper, accessible information, and different information about that particular election. And then we also have the Spanish version in here as well. And if you turn to the centerfold, that's where you find your sample ballot. And the whole concept of this is that you would actually extract this from the book. And then now you're actually holding your ballot, and you can practice on this, and you can take that to your polling site and have your choices marked, and then transfer those over to the official ballot. So that's the concept of that. And then this will have candidate statement of qualifications in here. And some candidates opt to not have it printed in the guide and instead just have it posted online. So there's a lot of information online. And then local information about the local propositions. You'll have what your yes vote means, what a no vote means, a summary of the measure, arguments for and against. And
And those are written by the county attorney?
So the ballot measures are written by the jurisdiction,
Right.
so a school board or a water board or the county board or a city council will pass a measure. So they write the 75-word ballot question, which appears on the ballot. and the text of the measure. And then anybody from that community can write an argument for or against, or it could be the governing body that writes it. But there's so much available also on the internet, and people can access a lot of these tools on their cell phones as well. So we have the County Citizens Connect app, which is a great tool to get quick information as far as what's on your ballot and registering to vote. And you can look up where to vote, so it will give you directions to your polling site and a map on how exactly to get there. And then there's a whole other number of tools. The League of Women Voters puts out an easy reader voter guide. There's a website called Voters Edge that Mappolite is working with League of Women Voters on doing this nonpartisan information site where people can get information about all the different candidates, and candidates are able to post information. And there's information on the Secretary of State's side about the donors, like who are the top 10 donors for and against these propositions, so you can follow the money. So there's just a wealth of information out there on the internet for people who use that over the paper.
Maybe overwhelming.
It might be, but a lot of people like that information, and information is power. So it's all very transparent now as far as what's happening and what's available, and candidates have the opportunity to post information and show what their priorities are and their goals are, so you have a better idea and can make better informed decisions.
Right, and then of course people also have the forums that they can go to.
Correct, yeah, all the candidate information
Right.
forums.
I know the League of Women Voters always has a forum.
Yes, they do.
And then of course different organizations in the community
Yeah.
do all forums, the unions, the
Yeah.
peace groups, the political groups.
Yeah.
So now I heard you say when we started preparing for this that the voting model is changing in California.
Yeah, so you
What's
might have
that?
heard on the news, because there are 5 counties in the state that are moving toward, they're implementing a vote center model. And what that means is that every voter in the county is automatically mailed a ballot. And then they have remote accessible ballots for voters who cannot vote using a paper. And then they have vote centers that are established 10 days prior to the election, depending on the number of registered voters you have. And then you bump that number of vote centers up for the 4 days prior to the election. So it's a concept of being able to vote anywhere. So if you are a Santa Cruz County voter and you are living in Scotts Valley but work in Watsonville, well, you can take a time off during your lunch break and go and vote at a Watsonville vote center. When we have them. We don't have them yet. So the 5 counties that are doing it, have started, is San Mateo, Sacramento, Madera, Nevada, and Napa. So those 5 are starting, and then all the other counties can join this vote center model in 2020. So Santa Cruz County is looking at it as a possibility. I suspect we're going to have a voter advisory group put together, and we're going to start investigating also needing a new voting system, because our current voting system is antiquated, and we're going to have a new voting system to accommodate this new vote model if we choose to go with that.
Great. So this is, where does the change come from? Who made it up? Did the local...
It was actually California law that was passed and the governor signed, and it's based on what Colorado has done for a number of years. They have a vote center model. And so our Secretary of State and our county elections officials went and visited the state of Colorado and said, hey, this is something that could work well in California. So we'll see how it goes this election with the 5 pilot counties that are out there trying it.
It's amazing. And so what I find is that in California at least, but I hear Colorado and the state, it's getting better and better, where more people really have the opportunity and the possibility to quickly give their vote.
Right.
And so that's the reason why I think we need to talk about next step for other people, for people who want not just to vote, but what else can they do? And you already talked about volunteers. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Right, we always are, for every election, it's a tremendous amount of work. So we're always looking for extra hands to assist us with the whole process. In particular, our polling places need the support to be able to run on election day. We have our receiving center at our office on Ocean Street, and we'll need help the day before and the day of the election for those sites. So we're always looking for help for extra help. We have volunteers. I wouldn't be able to extend the outreach program the way that I have our county. You had mentioned earlier about being looked at as a model program throughout the state, and I think that our outreach program is definitely one of those as well that's looked at throughout the state as a model program. And I wouldn't be able to extend the way I do without the volunteers to help us do it. We just really need a lot of extra help during election season. So we're always looking for poll workers.
Yeah.
So-
They get paid a stipend,
Oh, they do?
yeah, you get paid a stipend, and
let's look at the little
Yeah.
picture that you
And-
drew
and-
for the
yeah.
being a poll. They're looking for
right, and
poll
like
workers.
Helen said, it takes an army to run an election.
Yes.
So we definitely need a lot of people out there on election day working in the polls. Usually there's a 5-person precinct board at all of our different locations. And we're located at schools and libraries and parks and all throughout the county churches. And the day before, Monday, is the distribution day. So we need a lot of people out at these different distribution centers getting the supplies to the inspectors. And then she said on receiving on election night, getting all those supplies and ballots back in and getting everything counted. We have a number of people working at 701 and other receiving centers we have out in the county. So you don't get paid a wage. You're considered a volunteer, but you do get paid a stipend. And so that's a good way to earn some extra money and also serve your community. And you get a front row seat on democracy.
That's correct.
And high school students can work as well. So if you're a high school student, 16 or 17 years old, with parent and teacher approval, you can work in the polls as well.
Great. And I understand from my friend who is a poll worker that she gets training.
Right, yeah.
Every time when there's election, it's not like you get one-time training, but and every time there's some more information and changes and.
The only thing permanent in life is change, right?
Right.
So we're always got new changes and new ideas,
But she likes it.
and you forget too, because
Right.
the elections aren't held every month. So thank God.
And she says, there's certain camaraderie from the people who are working at the polls.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, she's done that for a couple of years, she gets to see some of the same people.
Right, right.
So you pick up the conversation where you were before.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, both of you, Gail and Helen, for sharing this with our community. And I want to say thank you to the people at home for tuning in to connect. Very important topic today. Go out and vote. And we gave you everything. So no reason not to vote. Good night.